All right, so it is 8:02. Debbie, thank you so much for being here on time. You are awesome, and I totally appreciate that.
Where's
So
everybody?
I don't know, but I know Grace is traveling. She might not be here. Andrea said that she would be listening in the car. But in the meantime, we're going to get right on in with you and the things that you and I were discussing over text because it's super valuable. And we're going to start with you. We're going to get your questions answered. And I know it is going to be helpful to the rest of the group. And they can just
Well, I'm not
watch it.
with.
They
I
can
gotta,
watch the
I gotta
recording.
pull the blinds here for a second. Hold on.
All right. And I will start sharing. Um, I will screen share. We will get that started. Let me minimize a few things here. Okay. I think Sarah said she's having some trouble getting in to the Zoom account. So Sarah is trying to get in. Sometimes that happens. So let me help with some tech things with that.
Okay.
Um, and did you have any trouble getting in, Debbie?
Mm-mm.
All right. Did you
No.
use the link from your email or the link from Facebook?
Email.
Okay. Uh, I'm going to let everybody know sometimes the Zoom.
Beth joined as a guest. I see that up in the chat bar.
Okay, Beth is here. All right.
Sarah. Sarah.
Yes, I'm here. I'm trying.
Okay. Sarah is here. All right.
Hi.
Yay! All right. Sometimes the
Where's
Zoom link,
everybody?
sometimes the Zoom
Hi.
link doesn't work through Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, I tried several different things. I ended up having to delete the app and re-download it for some reason, but I'm here.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. So we will go ahead and get started. Andrea said she would be listening in her car, and Grace is traveling, so I don't know if she's going to be able to make it. So we are going to have a great night. I'm going to just check here. Okay. Thank you all for your patience. And Sarah, I'm so glad that you were able to manage your tech stuff. Sometimes Zoom is sort of funky. And I see Andrea here, so that's perfect. Yay! All right, we are going to.
Bless you. She
Um,
sneezed.
All right, I'm gonna just start with our typical faith-based mindset. And I'm gonna ask that you double check and make sure that your microphone is off because I had a little bit of feedback, might have been me. So first of all, I want to say you're not behind. I've had a few messages saying that you feel like you're behind. You're not. This is a journey, not a sprint. You guys are farther along than you were at the beginning. That's not behind. You're farther along than 98% of the population that's never even opened a brokerage account. So you're not behind. You're going at the pace that you need to go. Okay? We all have life. We've got things to do outside of our 1 hour together. So I just want to reassure you that you're not behind. I am so glad that we're doing this as a group because the questions that you ask me benefit everybody else. And as I said, I was going to start with Debbie, but I will start with your topic, which is so important to understand. Oh, and the cat. Oh, so pretty. I will start with that when we get to talking about the questions that I've received from you all during the week. So first of all, I'm going to start with Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm going to read the highlights. For every matter, there's an appointed time, even a time for every pursuit under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance, a time to throw away stones, a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for battle, and a time for peace. And then it goes on to say, I know there is no good for them but to rejoice and do good in their lives, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is a gift of God. So let's think about this. The times and seasons of life in youth. We have a time for building and planting. Then as we get out of youth, the 18 to 20s to maybe 30s, then there's a time for growing and fertilizing. Maybe that's in your 30s and 40s. And then comes the time for reaping and harvesting in your 50s, in your 60s. And I know some of you are thinking, damn, I missed all that. And I'm freaking now in my 50s and 60s. And what am I reaping and harvesting? Nobody taught me that. It was withheld from me. So what do? And if you're not at that point yet, now is the time to buckle down. If you have people you care about, like your children, Sarah, you're in such a great place with young children. They are going to surpass us all because you're getting this information now. When it comes to time and it comes to money, you can squander money. You can make money back, but you cannot do that with time. Time is priceless. You cannot get it back. So what do we need to do now? We need to live differently than the 98% of the people around us if we want to live differently than the 98% in our retirement. And we all know Danny used to say, at age 65, 98% of the population is dead broke, or reliant on the government, friends, or family to survive. We don't want to be those people. That's why they're here. That's why we're here. That's why you're here. I'm here. There is this time right now that we're living in, a wealth transfer is taking place, and most people are oblivious to it. There's a wealth transfer taking place before our very eyes, and it's been happening for a while. There are powers that want to hoard the wealth and keep people down, and there is a spiritual battle. So today, we're going to be doing some uprooting. We're going to be doing some tearing down. And sometimes you need to tear down to build up. Now, right now, you guys have already had some of your mindsets tore down. You've had your eyes opened to some new things, and you've implemented them, and you have seen a benefit. And we're at the halfway mark. This is our 6th official class. We had a bonus class. This is right in the middle. And I don't want time to get away without pouring everything I have into you to set you up. This is why I put this together. This is why I said you need to join the yearly membership for TWF at $2.99, because I'm the training wheels to get you to be in that for the lifetime. That is what is going to give you the lifetime of support. I'm just the training wheels to get you going in that. So Debbie and I are already, we were already in TWF for quite a while, in the pro membership, listening and applying. And I want to ask you guys right now, from what I've given you and from what you've signed up for, have you got your money's worth from me in these 6 weeks? Okay, 2 thumbs up.
Absolutely, I have.
Awesome, awesome. And Andrea's driving, so keep your eyes on the road, girl. I want to let you all know I pray for you. Sometimes I'll see little things like, oh, pray for me. I'm praying for you guys, because this is just so important. And I want what I relate to you to be what you need, whether it's a loving encouragement or sometimes it needs to be a little smack on the rear. You know, we all need that. Sometimes we need the loving encouragement, and sometimes we need to say, God, you just need to hit me over the head with a 2x4 so that I can get it right while I can. So we're going to have a combination of those things. And we have another 6 weeks. I have another 6 weeks. And I just want to thank the people that were asking me to do this, especially Grace. Grace was saying, I need this, I need more, I need the hand holding. So this came about not because I wanted to hang around and talk about building a future for 12 weeks. This happened because I was already doing that in my free group. And sometimes people do not get the benefit of something that's for free. They need to have some skin in the game. So I'm glad you feel you've got your money's worth already. Now, I want to say something about TWF. I'm so glad you guys are doing the accountability, and I'm so glad that you want to honor and encourage me when you mention me. And I'm going to ask that if you're going to do an accountability or mention me, that you do it in the Faith, Finance, Freedom group, that you do it there. Because that's my little group, like I'm the face of the group. For the accountability for TWF, I would love if you speak life and encouragement to Hans and Karen, because it's Hans's group and Karen is really pouring her heart out to help people along in TWF. She does it every week. So I'm going to ask that you do that. And the reason why, I'm going to be honest with you all, Karen called me and she's like, hey, I want to understand what's going on with the group. She wanted to make sure that, she didn't say this, but I would never want to poach clients from TWF. I never promoted this in TWF. I promoted it in my free group, on my Facebook page, and I was always pointing the way to TWF because I had searched for over 10 years for somebody like Hans. I went through so many people, like people that Beth hired, that said, "Hey, give us your money, we'll charge you a percentage, and we're gonna do right by you." And I had done enough studying in economics and history to understand a little bit about inflation. They could not answer my questions. They did not really understand true inflation. And every time we would meet with those people, and people would come to my husband's work, and they would set up these marketing things for them, and nobody knows who to trust. They want to put their personal responsibility out into somebody else's hands. And I was like, these people only know what they're taught. They don't know what they're talking about. What they have is not the truth. We're not going to give them a dime of our money. But what is the truth? I couldn't find it until I finally heard Hans speak. And I was like, yes, the things that he spoke, I understood were truth because I had learned it and studied it. But I didn't know how to go from broke to investing in more than just the S&P 500. So I'm going to ask that you just honor Hans and Karen, because my goal was to help women in single income families get out of debt and fund their retirement. And that's what you get with Hans. I'm just the training wheels to give you the foundation so you can understand what he says. Does that make sense to everybody? So I know Debbie and I have the pro membership, and I just want to make sure that you guys review your membership and make sure that you paid the $2.99 for the year. That way you get 2 months free over paying every month, because I'm still going to be with you throughout this year, even though we have 12 intensive weeks together. And I want to encourage you to join the pro membership with Debbie and myself. It's $9.99. And I'll tell you right now, Grace is not here. Grace, if you're listening to this, Grace, you're ready for the pro membership. I see your diligence. I see how close you are to retirement and your age. And Beth, I'm going to say the same thing to you. You're ready for the pro membership right now. I see your diligence. I see how you take action on things. And I see how close you are in age to Debbie, myself, and Grace. You know, we're the senior citizens. We don't have time to waste. So I definitely encourage you to look at that. You're going to get Hans live to ask questions, to listen to him, to get strategies. He puts so many strategies out, you don't have to do them all. You just need one good strategy that's going to help you make up for the lost time when it comes to your finances. Now, Sarah and Andrea, I want you to be ready for that at the end of our 12 weeks. Both of you are a little bit younger. You have a little bit more time. Let's just focus on learning with me. And I want to set you up to be ready for that pro membership. And to be honest with you, when I started, I got a nice routine going, and then I quit my membership with TWF and with Hans. I felt like, I'm not doing it. I have enough. I went back a year or two later and I went to review the videos, and I was stunned at how much better off I would be financially if I would have just stuck with it. So this is a lifetime journey, and you are not in better hands than with what Hans is doing, and with the MOAT calculator, and with what Karen is now giving you. So would you agree or disagree, Debbie, since you're in the pro membership?
I 100% agree. I kind of snuck a little message in the chat if anybody was looking, because I didn't want to interrupt. But My biggest thing was because I know Hans can be intense and sometimes his strategies are like way above my head, but I know eventually I'll figure it out. But had I not been in that group, I would not have known about that huge drop a couple of months ago in the market. And I jumped in and bought a whole bunch more shares at that time where I'd be making more money. I would have never known that. So it just right there, it paid off the $100 a month that you pay. It's so worth it. And the support is awesome. And yeah, it's worth it, girls.
Yeah. And it's less than $100 a month because you get those 2 months for free when you pay the whole year up front.
Oh, I haven't done that. I guess maybe I should do that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you
We'll
know
see.
you're going to be in it for at least until you're fully retired. You know that. So get those 2 months for free. And
Do
another
that.
thing that Hans does is you'll get alerts as to when the market drops because we all want the sales. So we get the alerts when, hey, stuff's on sale. Go check it out. So there's that. Now,
Can I just clarify for a second?
Yeah.
Sorry. So I am paying a monthly fee of like $30 a month, but you're saying the pro membership is an upgrade, that you get more with Hans, I guess, more one-on-one, and Karen.
yes, you do. Yes, it's an upgrade. And when if I wasn't clear about this, you and I can talk about it. I had, in my market material, I had listed the TWF membership as a $299 price for the year. And I did that because they were phasing out the monthly. And I wanted to honor Hans for when I reference his material, even though I'm not teaching his material. So
Well, that averages out cheaper than $30 a month anyway.
totally does. It totally does.
Okay.
So if you're able to, if you're able to go ahead and, do that, that would be great because, they were having people join for a month, take the material and quit after a month. And even for what you get at $299 a year, they should be charging $999 a year for that. And what Debbie and I are getting for $999 a year, I mean, Hans could easily be charging $5,000 a year for the value. So,
Okay.
so yeah, so there's that. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Danny and Hans. So I just really want to honor them in every way. And when I talked to Karen, I said, hey, maybe Hans wants to hire me and I can do this for the group. I don't know. But if there's no other questions about that, I'll move on to the material for tonight. All right. Now, I told you last week we'd be talking about Bitcoin. So what I'm going to say right now is I will give my case for Bitcoin. If we don't have enough time tonight, we'll have Bitcoin part 2 next week. Open up an account with Coinbase or Kraken. You don't even have to put money into it. This is the way to buy Bitcoin. I am not telling you to go and buy Bitcoin right now. Does anybody own any actual Bitcoin? Debbie? Not the stock, not an ETF, but actual Bitcoin.
No, I own XR about $400 in XRP,
Okay,
but not Bitcoin.
okay.
Same concept.
And did you buy it through Coinbase or Kraken, or where did you buy yours from?
Don't remember.
Okay.
I haven't even looked at it.
Okay.
But it's not one of those two. It's David Manley's set me up with it, and I can't remember. Uphold? Does that make sense?
Okay, I'm not real familiar with Uphold. I'm gonna suggest to you that you find out where your Bitcoin is being held. Sorry, not Bitcoin, your digital asset.
Yeah.
Where your digital asset is being held. and let us know in the group chat, in the group, where yours is being held, your XRP. Again, I am not familiar with Uphold, but Coinbase and Kraken are the top two agencies to purchase digital assets.
Is Kraken with a C or a K?
It's with a K, Kraken.
Yeah, okay.
They're both excellent. You can't go wrong with either one. I think Coinbase is a little more user friendly. I joined them both, and it's a personal preference. And we will be talking about putting some of your investment holdings in number 1, Bitcoin, and number 2, Ethereum. So number 1, Bitcoin, number 2, Ethereum. And you can abbreviate Bitcoin as BTC, and you can abbreviate Ethereum as ETH. And I would purchase those before I started purchasing XRP. I believe that's Ripple.
Yes.
So again, I would say when you're looking at digital assets, XRP is the more speculative of the assets, and that Bitcoin and Ethereum are pretty much the front runners,
Yep.
have a little more stability. All right, since we're on Bitcoin, I want to do a nice thorough lesson to explain how Bitcoin is really like digital gold. All right. Gold really doesn't change value. It's our dollars that change value depending on how much has been printed. So I want to see if I have I have some of my notes on gold. Gold investments. Okay, so here's some of my notes on gold, and I'm doing let's suppose you had 28 ounces of gold. They can be little coins, they look like little quarters, but they're super heavy. Has anybody ever bought physical gold and held it? Okay. That, so let's go through physical gold and holding it. Between 1800 and 1900 and 1930, it's 130 years, 28 ounces of gold would have cost you around $550, $575. US American dollars. It didn't change in 130 years. The US dollar up against gold about the same. Now, if you know your history, the US dollar was backed by gold. It was the world's reserve currency because it was backed by gold. And they knew if they took an American dollar, they knew exactly how much gold they would get back. And once the whole world said, we're taking the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, Nixon was president, and he slammed the gold window and he said, you know what, we're not going to tie the US dollar to gold anymore. How do you think the world felt about that? They're like, what? So I just told you between 1800 and 1930, the price of gold was flat. 28 ounces would have cost you about $575 at any time throughout those 130 years. After Nixon closed that gold window around 1970, it was now going to cost you $1,000 to get the same amount of gold. In 1980, 10 years after that, wasn't going to cost you $1,000 anymore. It was going to cost you 16,000.
Wow.
Did anything change in gold? Nothing changed in gold. We were just printing away money, diluting the money supply. So it was taking more US dollars to buy the same 28 ounces of gold. Now, in 1990, between 1990 and 2000, the US Treasury and the administration retracted some of that liquidity. They're like, we can't have so many dollars floating around. They retracted it a little bit. And in 1980 and 2000, you could buy that 28 ounces of gold between $7,000 and $10,000. A little bit better, right? But still not the $575 that you could have back in 1930. All right, what about 2010? It would cost you $34,000. What about 2020? $49,000. And what about today? About $92,000. Did anything change in the 28 ounces of gold? No. What changed? Fiscal irresponsibility. And we wonder why, if you look at the BRIC countries, BRIC, they don't want to trade in US dollars anymore. Can you blame them? And where do you think they're going? Who do you think is wooing them? China. What does all of this mean? I don't know. All I know is things are not looking good for people that don't understand how to manage their finances. That's it. So that's with gold. But who's going to be carrying around heavy gold? Bitcoin is considered digital gold, and it's been rising. And sometimes it'll drop 30 or 40%. They call that Bitcoin winter, and then it will go up. But steadily from its inception to today, it's higher. There is an algorithm, and I'll get into the details, but there's an algorithm, mathematical algorithm, that people with supercomputers mine Bitcoin. They need to solve a mathematical problem to receive the Bitcoin. So it takes a lot of money to invest in that sort of computer to mine Bitcoin. And when they get the Bitcoin, they can keep it or they can sell it, which is why anytime you buy or sell a digital asset, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, you're going to pay some sort of premium. You're going to pay for the exchange. So there is, according to the mathematical algorithms, only a certain amount of Bitcoin that will be mined. So it's limited like gold. The US dollar, not limited. They print tons of it. So we need to find ways to make our finances able to weather the storms of money printing. If you bought gold, that's one way. If you invest in digital assets, it might be another way. And I'll be honest, I do not like the idea of digital assets, but we're doing it today. Does anybody give you cash for your paycheck? Or do they just type in some numbers and magically it appears in your account? We're dealing with digital stuff all the time, and banks are using Bitcoin way more than they're using Ethereum or XRP. with exchanges. PayPal accepts Bitcoin. So we will talk about entering into Bitcoin next week. But I'm going to say, if you want to get a portion of your investment capital into Bitcoin, we'll talk more about the details next week. Look at Coinbase, look at Kraken, open the account. You don't need to put money into it. It's probably easier than opening an account with Charles Schwab. You may need to put up an ID or a passport. They want to make sure that they know who you are, you know, like identity. Just like, I don't know, I think we had to do that with Charles Schwab. I had to show them, send them a copy of my driver's license and my state ID. So they want to verify your identity. All right, so we'll get into the details about that. But this is serious about taking care of our money so that we don't struggle in retirement. Now, I'm going to move on to the questions from this week. Are there any questions right now? Any concerns? Because I know, Beth, you look like you have something on your mind.
I'm just a horrible speller. Can you spell Ethereum for me?
You can abbreviate it ETH. Off the top of my head, I think it's ETHEREUM.
Okay.
Think so. But if you just type in ETH,
Okay.
you'll find it.
How do you buy gold?
You can go to pawn shops.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It's not like an online thing then, like Bitcoin or.
No. If you want, and here I'm talking about physical gold, because assets can be wiped out. In Greece, within the last decade, the population of Greece woke up to find their savings accounts zeroed out because the government needed money.
I heard that. I think
Yeah.
somewhere in these groups I heard that. That's crazy.
I think I mentioned it to Hans in the pro call. But will our government ever do that? Honestly, I wouldn't put anything past any government. Andrea, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering with the gold, like what are the chances that the gold can drop in value?
All right, great question. What are the chances that gold can drop in value? We need to define our terms. Gold never drops in value, and gold never increases in value. Gold is gold. The power of the currency that you might use to buy the gold can drop in value, and that's what we're seeing. Does that make sense? Now, who knows how our currency is manipulated? The price of gold right now, well, for a single ounce of gold, I think it's around $3,200. Gold has been artificially manipulated by the big hedge funds, money makers, who knows? There are powerful people that can manipulate the price of these assets. What can we do about it? Nothing. Price of gold right now, is it 3,000, 3,200? Could it drop to 2,500? Sure. Could it go up to 4,000? Absolutely. It all depends on how our currency is being manipulated. So this is just the way the world works. But this is why we're here. We are going to be good stewards of what we have. We, sometimes if you're in debt, if your retirement is not where you want it, sometimes you might want to do like my 30-day grocery challenge. Like, can you cut your grocery bill in half this month? Yes, you can. I've done it multiple times. Sometimes I've seen my spending creep up and I'm like, what the heck are we doing? We're going to buckle down. We're going to have rice and beans. We're not going to die. We're not going to go out to eat this month. I'm not going to buy extra shampoo and conditioner until this bottle is dry. And then when it's dry, I'm going to put water in it and shake it up and use that. And then when I throw it away, I'll be like, now it's time to get shampoo. What if I can't get it today? I'll skip a day or two from washing my hair. That's okay. Sometimes that's good. So what are you willing to give up now for the future? Okay, I would rather give it up now than be 80 years old, break a hip, and not be able to have medical care or to pay for medications. So I don't want to be doom and gloom, but we need to understand the realities and why we're doing this. And again, you're here. We are in the 2% who's doing something, taking personal responsibility, not relying on others. So now we're finally going to get to Debbie's question, which was awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm going to share my screen. And Debbie thought she lost money because I'm going to show you a photo of my account, one of my accounts. Okay, so this is an account that my husband was able to do a rollover in. We put money in this account in January. Now, do you guys see where it says total gain or loss? A lot, it's all in red. Right over here, total gain or loss. Almost $9,000, an almost 5% drop. Is that kind of an alarming? Is that kind of like what you saw, Debbie? Like you went in and you're like, I had money in my account. I thought it was growing. Why does it show that I lost $9,000? That my account dropped by 5%? Is that kind of what happened to you?
What I was on the phone with Schwab with the guy because I got clarification since then
Okay.
with Karen actually this afternoon, and he was not on the same wavelength as I was. Okay, and he had me go under the link of portfolio performance, where it shows your return on investment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in the negative, and then it shows that I've lost $1,000 for the whole year. And that's when I freaked out. Until I learned that return on investment, you would look at that if you're in like a 401k account, or if you're like growth stocks, what's your return? Is it growing that way? Where we're not looking that way. We're buying shares, buying dividend and being paid dividends, that I really should be looking at that as a growth aspect. It just, and he just was not on the same wavelength as I was, and he was throwing me way off and didn't even answer the questions that I needed answered. And I just told him I had to get off the phone because I was an overload. That's when I messaged you and I said, I'm freaking out. What's going on?
I'm gonna
But
tackle
so
this
you can,
for everybody else.
yeah, well, that's okay. Because if you repeat it back to me, it'll sink in even more.
Repetition is good. Okay, so
Yes.
when we talk to Schwab, we need to really understand the questions we're asking, and they are typically thinking of investments the way the majority of people do. They don't have the strategy that we're looking for. We're looking for living off of our dividends and never touching the capital. So in this particular instance, we would look at it, or my husband would say, hey, bring up that account. and be like, oh my gosh, we lost $9,000. We lost 8,829. What the heck is happening? All right, here they calculate it based on, I know how much money I deposited into this account. You have to keep track of how much you deposit in the account. And you really should not be doing withdrawals because this is for retirement. You never withdraw your retirement money. If you need money, you go sell something. You go around the neighborhood on trash day and look for furniture or stuff that people are throwing out. You put it in your car and then you sell it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. I've done that. You do anything but touch your retirement accounts. So, meanwhile, keep track of how much money you put into the account. In this account, the only amount of money we put was it was a rollover from a retirement account. It was $163,922. All right, I'll round it up to 164 to make it easy. But the difference between 163,922 and the current value is 22,769. The account grew by 22,700 and change. So why is it showing a loss here when it actually gained nearly 14%? All right, so anybody would look at that and they would trip out, right? They would be like, why am I losing money? And look at everything here in the red. Oh my gosh, I'm doing horrible. Nothing is working. You can't rely on anybody else. You need to do your own numbers. What happens here is it took how much money we deposited. And then every time a dividend was paid, it counted that as a deposit. Okay? It counted that as a deposit and it bought shares. And when the share price went down, then it's like, oh, you have a loss on the shares that were purchased. I don't care how they calculate things because I am looking for something different. I need to track my own numbers. So that's your lesson. You have your journals, you track your own numbers. Does that kind of answer the question on why you would see a loss? Okay. Because that's super important because that's demoralizing. You'd be like, oh my God, I just lost all that money. When you really didn't, because you have a different strategy. Okay, so there's that. Any questions on that? Has anybody else seen a loss? Do you guys feel better? Okay. All right, so we talked about the scenario of you guys feeling like you're behind. You're not behind. Take what you need, move forward. You don't have to implement everything I give you every single week, just one thing. Just focus on one thing, all right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. All right, I have another scenario, and I am putting this scenario up because I do want to say, I have notes here. I do want to say this is group coaching. Everything that we talk about benefits the whole group. I'm here for an hour with you guys. And if you need to, I give you more because that's how much I care about your future. I give you more than the hour you paid me for. I call you guys, I text you, I'm here. If I have time to give you more, I'll give you more. If you need to skip out at an hour, hey, you got the recording, that's okay. We agreed to an hour. But I'm always here to to give you more. And before I go on to this final scenario, welcome back, Grace. I'm so glad to see you.
Thank you. Our flight got in and then we did a quick farm tour. Then we had supper. So now I'm able to join.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. I know that it was an incredibly emotional week. I kept you in my prayers. And when
Thank
you're
you.
ready, I want to make sure that I give you the same extra time that I've offered to everybody else. If you feel like I missed some stuff, or you need me to talk you through things, reach out to me and we will um, get you what you need.
Thank you, Larissa.
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, so this is a specific scenario. This scenario is going to help the younger ones like Sarah and Andrea. This is going to especially help you if you have children, if you have brothers or sisters that are not looking at the future. Okay, so this is a specific example, and I wish Andrea were here so that, oh, there she is. Oh, yeah. All right, this is a specific example to some of the discussions that we had. And this is like a come to Jesus moment for all of us to understand our finances. Now, there are some people that work for cash. I worked for cash for a period of time, and then there were times I had a pension, and I worked for a company that had a pension. When the company dissolved, I cashed out my pension, probably one of the worst things I could have done. I know we talked about that. I cashed it out, and there's just, not only could you take a 30% tax hit with all the penalties and everything, you're missing out on the compounding over decades. So super foolish. I never had anybody teach me that. But I want to give a scenario of jobs, and I want you guys to think about the job situation you're in now and if it is going to fund your future. Now, some of you may have a good job, some of you may have benefits, some of you, my husband had his own restaurant business that he had people coming from hundreds of miles away. It got such good reviews. It was his own business, but he gave it up. He was married to the business. You can't take time off when you have your own business. There are other people that we know that own their own business, own their own restaurant, and their retirement is practically nil. Okay, so my husband made a great decision to move into a regular job. It wasn't his dream job, but you can live your dreams outside of work hours. So I'm going to give an example. Let's suppose you're a nanny and you're getting $22 an hour cash. What's going to happen in 17 years when you reach retirement age at age 62? If you're a nanny getting $22 an hour cash, and let's assume you get a 2% pay increase every year. Maybe if you're really diligent, you'll be able to save $8,000 a year, $10,000 a year, maybe. Well, I don't know how you could save that much if you're making such little cash. But in that scenario, you're going to have a deficit of $8,000 a year when you want to retire. Who here wants to keep working when they retire because they have to? If you want to work when you retire because you want to, that's a joy. But who wants to be working until the day they die? Because they have to. Now, I'm going to go to Buc-ee's. My son makes $18 an hour. He is training in a field that he wants to grow in. He was like 19. Who cares when you're 19? You've got youth on your side. I went through Buc-ee's to get gas, and I saw that their janitors were making $24 an hour. And I was like, dang, that's $6 more than my son is making. So what if instead of getting 22 hours of cash in this scenario, you get $2 extra by working at Buc-ee's? What does that mean? It's not just the $2 extra. You're getting paid sick leave, paid vacation, paid insurance, paid dental. It's being, your Social Security and FICA is being paid into. How does that sound? Now, what's going to happen at retirement in that particular job? Well, you might have a deficit of $3,561 a year at age 62. You might need to work a couple more years from age 62 to 64, 65. That's okay. You'll have a moderate retirement. Now, how about the final one? Now, again, this is based on somebody that is aged 45 right now. Okay, so I have a retirement outlook comparison from age 45 to age 62. That's coming up. 17 years can go really fast. Now, what if with the same amount of money per hour, this person became a janitor at a state college? The state has the same sort of benefits, but they have a pension. I believe it's called TRX, Texas Retirement System. Some of us have pensions if you work for the government or the state. And even now, pensions are starting to be dissolved. So if you can get a pension, it's worth its weight in gold. We know how much gold's worth. In that instance, the income, $22 an hour cash, is less than $32,000 a year based on a 40-hour work week. The janitor position goes from $31,900 to $36,400 per year, but the college, we're looking at nearly $60,000 per year in income. In that scenario, at retirement age, there would be a surplus of $17,000 per year. Now, I want you to consider in retirement, 17 years, do you want to have a deficit of $8,000 a year when you're age 62 and you got to scramble when you're old to find a way to get more money? Buc-ee's is not bad. Might have to work a couple of years just to break even. But if you're wise with where you work and you get something with a pension, like the college janitor, you'd have a surplus of nearly $18,000 a year. Who would want to that's over $1,000 a month of surplus. Like, what would you do with that money? So I also figured out if somebody really wanted to continue in that particular business that paid cash because, you know, they liked the flexibility, they would need to get, have it written down, $48.75 an hour. So right now, if you're making $22 an hour cash, in order to be able to retire without a deficit, you need to be getting $48.75 right now, today, per hour cash. And I see Andrea has her hand up, so I'm gonna stop the screen share so that you can ask anything you want.
I just was gonna ask, like, is there a way that like that in that scenario that you could invest in something that would make the 17,000 per year? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but if you're okay, so that's why you would need the $48.75 per hour cash, so that you have money to invest to get that. Right now, $22 an hour at 45 years old is not going to give you the retirement you want. You need $48.75 an hour cash if you want to stay in a cash-based business. Then you'll be able to pay down your debts and you will be able to have money to invest.
Who's gonna make that kind of money?
So, because again, a cash-based entrepreneurial venture does not give you paid holidays, paid sick days, paid medical insurance, paid dental insurance. And of course, they always have perks. Any job you bet, they do throw in perks here and there. They're taking care of your W-2s. They're taking care of your FICA, your withholding, your Social Security. That's why Buc-ee's or a state college is going to pay you $24 an hour and not $48.75, because the other half is going towards all those things to help you with retirement. And it's sobering. It is sobering. So I know we talked about this, and I, you know, I cannot want a happy retirement for you more than you want it for yourself. I can't do that. Like, my heart aches and cries because I want you to go out and eat and drink and enjoy the good of all your labor. That's what I want. And being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. The failure rate is in the high 90s, 99%. So I am saying, now I know you sent me a PDF. I'm not going to read it. I'm not here to read about negotiate. That's not what you hired me for, to read PDFs and tell you whether I like them or not. I love you. I'm not doing that. I'm here to say, look at what you want your future to be and make the hard decisions. It's not about, do you want to be a negotiator? If you do, read the PDF and learn how to negotiate. But I'm not here to help you be a negotiator. I'm here for you to help make the hard decisions. If you love negotiating with people, if you love stepping up to the plate and standing up for yourself, if you love that part of the job, then keep it and go ahead and get $48.75 an hour. You want to get $50 an hour? I'll tell you, we can get $50 an hour cash. And it's not walking the streets. It's not that. It's essentially being a nanny for senior citizens that need care, like a babysitter for senior citizens. My cousin Maria in New York, I don't know, she went through an agency, somebody has that, and nobody else is in the house. Nobody else is there to tell you to do the laundry or to throw your schedule around. No, you have somebody else do the work that you don't like. You have an intermediary. If you want to have that cash-based business, there are jobs out there that pay $50 an hour because people don't want to do them. But if you got paid $50 an hour, would you put $25 an hour away for your future? Do you have the discipline to do that? I will be honest with you guys, I don't have that discipline. I needed to go out and hire an employer to do that for me. I needed to hire the employer to say, hey, I'm going to give you the $22, $24 an hour, and I'm going to keep the other half to do all this stuff. You're not going to touch it. That's what I need. So that is going to, there it is. You need to make some hard decisions, some soul searching on what you're going to do. And I'm going to be able to stand before God and said, I did my best to present an accurate picture, because I want you at 62 years old to say, wow, my retirement is better than I could have imagined, because I took the hard advice and I evaluated it and I saw where I wanted to be in my future. And it's just about a quarter after. Thank you guys for staying with me for longer than an hour. We will continue the Bitcoin conversation, and if you have questions or need help, I'm here. If I can't get to your answers, we'll review it right here in the group for the benefit of everybody. So any final questions, thoughts, even requests for next week? I don't think Bitcoin's going to take the whole hour.
I have something, but I want everybody else to go ahead of me because I don't want to hog up all the time.
All right, I think it's all you, Deb.
All right. I'm back to that Roth conversion.
Okay.
I talked to my tax guy today and I got all set up in my head how I'm going to do that so I don't ultimately go into that 22% bracket of being taxed. I'll stay in the 12. So I'll have to convert over like the next 3 years, not the whole sum. But my question is now not tax question, but a Schwab shares dividend question. All right. So let's just take OXLC, and I've got so many shares at a certain price. Right now I'm at a loss. I'm at like, it's down like 3,000 or whatever. But when I go to convert that and take it from my traditional and move it into the Roth, it's going to be the same thing. If I do it in the same moment of time, saying that the price is not going to change, and I have 50 shares at 421, and I move it to the conversion, it's going to be dollar for dollar, share for share. It's all going to be the same straight across the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's not going to be any loss there. It's just a matter of moving it A to B, and that's it. and then pay my taxes.
Pretty much.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
All right, I'm going to throw a few other things out at you with that. Now, when you specifically talk about OXLC and you say you're down that much, again, remember, the only way to verify that is to go in your transaction history and determine how much money you actually put into OXLC, not your dividends. Remember, they're counting your dividends.
Right.
You might be up in OXLC.
Yeah, they got me down as in the red. Well, it's down because I bought it at 5 something a share and now it's at 421. So that's why it's down, but I still have my shares. So no matter whether I have it in my traditional or transfer it to my Roth, it's really not going to change anything.
It's not, and again, the market goes up and down every second. So some shares might pay a little more, some you might pay a little less. I mean, it's really negligible. But again, when you talk about OXLC being down and you bought some at a higher price, in order to have an accurate accounting for yourself, you need to know how much money did you put into OXLC, number one. How much did OXLC pay you in dividends?
Okay. And then see what the amount is.
Add those two together and then see what the market value is. It might even be equal because you've been getting paid dividends. Some dividends were bought at a high share price, some were bought at a lower share price. The only way to know accurately for you,
Track it myself.
you got to track it. How much did you put in? How much money did you receive in dividends? And how much is the market value? Those are the numbers you need.
Okay.
All right.
But when I actually go for the actual transfer, saying time has not, I don't know if they sell it or if they transfer it, how they do it, if it matters.
I think they want you to sell it yourself, otherwise they'll liquidate it, but I would check. For our conversion, well, yeah, just check and ask them.
Yeah, because I'm
if
not sure
they'll
how they would
liquidate.
do that. But it's not gonna, the value of it all is not gonna change unless the price changes from 1 second to the next second when I do the transfer or whatever.
Which
It's
it
all
does.
dollar for dollar, share for share.
Which it does, but again, it's going to be negligible because
Yeah.
it just goes up and down. And when it comes to Roths, we did a transfer from a traditional to a Roth. We were going to ladder it over 3 years.
Mhm.
We're only laddering it over 2, but our tax bill, it brought us up to like the 35% tax bracket.
Ouch.
And just in the rollover alone, we're probably going to be paying about $70,000 to the IRS.
Ouch.
And I'm getting, I have money in a regular account that's producing a significant cash flow that's highly taxed.
Yeah.
However, I know that this year, with all of the dividends and all the strategies that Hans teaches, I'm going to be up at least 140K this year. So the
Yeah.
70K, I'm just going to, it's just going to be
Well,
given.
I I had a little chit chat with Chat GPT and guesstimated on how much I would have in my wealth account through the MOAC, how much I will tentatively have. And I took that dollar amount and at 73, which is going to be 11 years from now, what my RMDs are going to be. Okay. And including what I'll be making in Social Security, if it's still there. So I could figure out how much taxes I'm going to be paying that first year. And the amount of tax, if I did the conversion all at one lump sum, it'll pay itself off past 2 or 3 years. I'll end up paying more taxes if I kept it in the traditional IRA if I
Yeah.
live that long. So it really is a better cut. I have to cut it now. I have to bite the bullet now to make more later.
Yeah.
But one thing I did find out, because my husband just turned 65. So because of Trump's big, beautiful bill, we get an extra $6,000 deduction.
Nice.
On the Social Security tax thing that they're talking about, that's just not on your Social Security income. That's on any income that you make at 65.
Yeah.
As long as you don't go over 150,000, then it starts going down. So yeah, this class has paid off a lot for me as far as learning some stuff that I was unaware of.
Awesome.
A lot.
Awesome. Now, just for everybody else, RMD stands for Required Minimum Distribution. If you have a regular IRA, they're going to force you, right now it's at age 73, to take out money. Now, when you're
Yeah, I
doing,
didn't know that.
no, when you're doing the rollovers, I don't know when you plan on taking Social Security. But you want to time your rollovers so you have a year or two in between before Social Security, because if you make too much money, then your Medicare costs are going to be higher. And if you make too much money when you're getting Social Security, they'll give you less money in Social Security, or they'll be taxing it. But there are some sort of
Yes.
tricks that they're like,
Chat
oh,
GPT brought that in too, and I think it's
good.
like a $200,000 amount you have to make before that kicks in. We ain't gonna be near that because I'm gonna break it up over the next 3 years, because I know next 3 years I can have that $6,000 deduction with Tim being 65. So, but yeah, there's Chat GPT. What an amazing tool.
Right.
That or Grok.
Be careful and always vet the information with a CPA or somebody qualified, because
I did.
So,
I
but
did. I talked to my tax dude today.
awesome.
I did
Awesome.
do that.
Well done. And I just want to applaud Debbie, because she took the ideas, she thought outside of the box, she took personal responsibility, she found some information, she mulled that over, and then she went to a professional. That's the way to do it. 100%. Love you. Well done. Okay. Anything else before we step away? All righty.
I just want to say thank you for always recording these, Larissa, because I missed half today and I missed last week. So I just really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, you got it. I want you guys to have these resources. This one will be available to download through Zoom. I'm sorry about last week. Were you able to download last week's? Okay. There was a weird.
I haven't looked for it yet
That's
because
okay.
I haven't been home very long.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me know if you can't find it. There was a weird thing that happened, and we had to download it through Google last week. But we're back to the regular Zoom. Thank you guys. Sarah, I know we didn't have an opportunity to talk this week, and you said you might have some questions. Anything you want to get taken care of now, or do you want to wait? You guys can
Thank you
leave
for
if you're
asking.
tired. I'll stay with you.
You're so sweet. I don't have anything that's like that I can think of right now. I kind of had just wanted to touch base and kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, just check in, kind of like, yeah. Right now, I don't have any questions that I can remember off the top of my head, but yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Sarah, I want to encourage you. I know you've been super busy. I don't think you were able to open the UTMA account.
I did.
Woohoo, that's
I I did that. Actually, I didn't put any money in them yet, but I opened them and I had called Schwab because I had a couple questions, and so he answered that, and then I kind of like afterward, or like I hit no on the trade options or the think or swim options, and I didn't know what they were, and I was kind of like, maybe I can call back and get more information on those, but I just didn't know what they were. But yeah, but it did do that.
And you don't need those options for a UTMA account. They're not going to be trading
Okay,
at this point.
I'm like, I
And
don't even know what this means.
and if you wanted it down the road, then
I thought that too. Maybe if I learn more about it and it's something I need, I'll just call and see if I can change it or just open a different account or whatever. But
no, you
now
can change it online, but
okay.
that's perfect. Put a couple of bucks in there, put their birthday money in there, help them buy a stock for $5, get them interested once a month, and that is fruit that will bear an incredible orchard when they hit retirement age.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
all right. I honestly love you women. You're on my heart and mind all the time. And I'm passionate for your success and your retirement and your blessings. So love you. Good night. I will see you next week. And I'll be checking the Facebook pages.
Larissa, I know you're signing off, but can I tell you one thing?
Sure, sure.
So I have only been putting money into I'm using Wealthsimple, so and buying stocks for I don't know, maybe 6 weeks. So I had my first dividend. Um but then yesterday I got 3 more dividend payments. So I added it up and it's a like 140% increase over my first dividend. So I was so excited about that. Even though the dollar amount is little, it's just like, oh, I see it growing. And so Brad told my mom, oh, Grace is making money while she's sleeping. But I was just excited because it's 140% increase and that's just exciting because then I can see it grow a little bit at a time. Yeah.
That is
So
awesome.
thank you for coaching us through this, Larissa.
My honor. Totally my honor, you guys. So excited. Keep it up. Thank you, Grace. Thank you. Thank you, Andrea, Debbie, Sarah, Beth,